Hearthstone overrated, Magic outdated. Long have we waited? Wait, no, not that. Runeterra! Legends of Runeterra is what we've been waiting for. And with that, here are my top 10 reasons why Legends of Runeterra will be a successful card game. Number 1, people are ready for something new. People have been playing Magic and Hearthstone for many years now, and they both have their flaws, and people have pretty much been waiting for another game to come take the spot. A lot of people believed it would be Artifact, but as we know, that didn't quite happen. The fact that people are even looking for this type of game is really important for the market. People are eager for it, and that they're wanting to see a new card game because they're bored of their other options is something that's really helpful. Number 2 is monetization. Another reason why people have been sick of other card games is because the way that they handle their monetization. The monetization is greedy at best. It's usually just not been fun. It feels like you're always stuck acquiring cards, can't ever play the deck that you want to play without dropping a bunch of money on it, and it's been like this for many games. This isn't just a 1 or 2 game problem, it's pretty consistent across the board. There are some really nice free-to-play games, but Runeterra is promising us something different. Riot has made us the promise that we don't want you to spend all of your time just trying to collect cards, and that we want to monetize off the cosmetics instead. Obviously, I don't necessarily think it's going to be as good as they say it is. I mean, I played League of Legends for thousands of hours, and it's like, I still can't play all the champs I want to, but with Runeterra, hopefully that's the case. It is free-to-play friendly. It sounds like it will be at least better. Hearthstone's card acquisition, 3 wins, 10 gold, 100 gold per pack is just flat out ridiculous. I know they have their daily quests, but it is just not very friendly whatsoever. That is a lot of time to acquire a collection just for a new expansion to be released and them asking you to buy another bundle. Pretty much if you're a fan of online card games, you should really be rooting for Runeterra to do good. If they're able to make this a new monetization style, it could just be huge, especially if you're a free-to-play player. The fact that they're promising that they're going to make our life easier is something that we all want. We want to be able to play multiple card games instead of being committed to one because it's so expensive to keep up with one card game. I think that the monetization is going to be a huge plus. So far, I think it's going to be better than other things, but we don't know for sure until it really comes out, and it will still be in beta, and we'll have to see if they decide to change things. I saw that they were toying with the XP a little bit, so hopefully that they make it favorable for us and not worse. I really hope that I'm able to play this game without just dumping a bunch of money on it. That's not a fun part of a card game. I understand they need to make their money, but at the same time, I would much rather pay for a cosmetic and be able to play the game and enjoy the cosmetic than not being able to play the game because I can't afford any cards. Number 3 is an easy to work with and smooth client. A smooth client is probably something that a lot of people undervalue and don't think about much, but it's really important. The ability to feel like everything's very interactive and that you know exactly where to go. If you have a confusing client, it makes it hard to get new people in because they are just so overwhelmed by this complex client that doesn't necessarily work or it crashes or whatever. It's really important. It's so smooth. You know exactly what's going on. The little eye that you have on the game board that lets you know the interactions beforehand is just amazing. I hated when I was playing card games and I don't know what's going to happen because all these effects are stacked on top of each other and it doesn't really make any sense. So being able to see how everything's going to play out before I play my card is really, really nice. It is probably my favorite aspect of the client, and I feel like I can navigate it really well, and it's pretty much made where anyone can navigate it really well. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of look past and they don't really think about how important that is, but if you're looking to get new players, especially players who have never played a card game before, them having an easy way to navigate through it is super, super important. So I think that's a good reason of why this should be one of the top 10 reasons that Runeterra will be successful. And with having a smooth client, that brings me to number 4, is also having a very interactive game. Riot's design team has done an amazing job about making a game where you're in the game the entire time. You're always interacting, you're always doing something. It's not you sitting there waiting 5 hours for your opponent to play their next card or decide whether they're going to train to something or not. You're always doing something. You're deciding if you're setting up cards to play, if you're going to be playing cards, if you're going to save for a spell or make a spell. You're always thinking in this game. It's what you want instead of sitting there and watching someone play solitaire or just trying to smork the entire time, but it feels like you're always making decisions, whether it be to set up things or to interact with your opponent's board in the way or another. There is interaction throughout the entire turn on both sides, so it is just incredibly nice. And with the mana system, you don't have to worry about being mana screwed or mana flooded, which is one of the biggest complaints in Magic, is the fact that some games just aren't games, and overall in Runeterra, it seems like that's going to be pretty low. I'm sure there's times where your mulligan's just going to go terrible and you won't draw well, well, it happens in pretty much every card game. It's just something that we have to accept. But in Runeterra, it's something special in the fact that I always get to interact with my opponent. Which brings me to number 5, which is your decisions matter and that your deck building matters. For decisions in Runeterra, there is some in every step of the game, whether you decide to counter a spell or to set up a creature to attack or block. There are just so many different things that are going on in this game where you are always doing something, but it's not overwhelming at the same time. I made the mistake of when I first looked at this game thinking like, oh, you're just gonna put 3 of each champion in the deck every time and build around those, but that's not necessarily the case. The champions can be from a range of anything from 1 to 6 champions. Because the decks are not very big, that makes very consistent decks, and that also makes it where they are very impactful as well. So making a change between 1 and 2 cards can make an extreme difference on the performance of that deck. It is one of my favorite aspects about card games is I like to refine decks. I like to decide if this card is better than that card. A bit tedious for some people, but it's my favorite part. I like adjusting to the meta in various ways and using those type of cards to do that. So that makes me really excited about the whole process of how impactful decisions are in this game overall, and that includes on the battlefield and in deck building. It's literally a card player's dream. And with deck building brings me to reason number 6, which is having a very high amount of class identity. Like the color system in other games, Legends of Runeterra utilizes a strong lore which is broken up into different regions. So if you play League of Legends, you're familiar with these regions, and you know that there's actually more too, which Riot has talked about adding. The current ones that we have right now are Demacia, Freylord, Ionia, Noxus, Piltover, and Zon, and the Shadow Isles. Each of these regions is home to different champions, which can be used to build different decks around. You can also group these regions together to make different combinations as well. Something else that's really important to recognize that isn't really talked about that often is that there are no neutral cards in this game. And I am of the opinion that that is a great thing. And the reason why is because oftentimes you'll see in games that have neutral cards is you'll see a really powerful neutral card printed, and it just kind of takes over the game and it makes you want to fall asleep. It's the same win condition over and over, it's the same draw card over and over again. It just gets really, really boring. Unless the win condition in one region is super busted, hopefully you won't be seeing the same regions over and over again, and that they'll have these different win conditions and different play styles, and it just makes the game feel different and unique that way. The idea of not seeing the same neutral cards just take over the game is amazing because it just offers you something different. It's nice. Like, that's what we want. We want to have different feelings in different games. We don't want to play against the same deck with the same win condition every game. That's boring. So the fact that Legends of Runeterra has said no to neutral cards, made the strong class identities, is a win for all of us. Number 7 is immersive character dialogue. This is not something that I personally care about that much. I'm not super big into lore overall. I find it somewhat interesting, but I do like this as someone who played League of Legends for a long time, watching the characters interact with each other. So you see the champions, you'll play one and the other one gets played, and the one banters or insults the other, and it's great. And it's just something about that that makes the game feel so much more lively, and I enjoy it a lot. I really do like this, how they added that. It's something that I feel like so many games that have this great lore behind them have just missed out on, and Riot nailed it on the head. And also when they have the champion upgrade, it has a great scene. It's really fun at the beginning. I kind of wish I could skip them though, because at some point I'm like, alright, I've seen Darius level up 5 times now. But I think it is really cool how they bring the lore to life that way, and it is something fun that if you only play like a game or 2 a day, you're gonna want to see those because they're fun and they're a lot of fun. But someone like me who plays probably a lot more than that is going to have a harder time watching those same animations. But I still think they're a great addition. They add on to the lore, they add on to the whole flavor of the game, and they are great. And I'm so happy. I am so happy that someone finally did this. It's been way too long that people have not been capitalizing on their lore, which so many players, that's really important to them, is to really feel immersed into the world itself. Number 8 is that Riot is a master of marketing and monetization. Talked about this earlier, how Riot's monetization plan is more about cosmetics rather than making you pay for the cards to actually play the game, which I think is a great idea. But if you've played League of Legends, you know how good Riot is at getting their game out there. It is so hard not to buy things on League of Legends. They make the best skins, and they're always eye-catching, have this great theme about it, the art is great, they look great in game, and I can't imagine all the things they are going to tempt me to purchase in Runeterra, and I will probably cave. I can't lie about it, but they're already doing their pets on the side, which is a common thing, and other games have been doing this. They have their game boards, and I'm sure they'll add other things that I haven't even thought of yet, and they've already made 20 billion different designs designs for it. Riot knows exactly what their audience wants, and they are so good at it. And that is something that if they're getting their money, then they're gonna keep designing. And that's why I expect the game to last long. Like, I feel like this game is going to be here for a long time because Riot knows what they're doing. They've learned from their mistakes in League of Legends, and they've learned how to build an empire with League of Legends, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. They know how to get this game out there and how to monetize it. Which actually brings me to point number 9, which is influencers will be rushing to the game, which is just free advertising. So the fact that you have all these people from League of Legends, from Hearthstone, from Magic, and other games just kind of piling in on Runeterra, knowing that this is going to be the next big thing for the most part, it is free marketing. You have all these viewers that will be there even if they haven't heard of the game somehow, which is pretty unlikely at this point. If they're on Twitch at all, they're going to most likely know what the game is, but maybe they haven't checked it out or they weren't able to access the beta yet, but they're going to see their favorite streamer play it and they're going to play it too. And I think it's going to have a huge snowball effect. Number 10 is the strength of League of Legends IP. In the real world, we have IPs like Apple and McDonald's, but in the gaming world, we have League of Legends, which is arguably the strongest IP out there. There's other ones too that are very strong, but the empire that Riot has built with League of Legends is just insane. This game is done everywhere and has been successful for so many years, and it just only keeps on going up. It's nuts what Riot has been able to do with this IP and what it's able to do with this game. I'm of the opinion that League of Legends IP is so strong that you can make a pretty mediocre game and it's still going to do well for many years just because of how strong the IP is. However, I don't think Riot has made a mediocre game. I don't think this game's been a cash grab. It has been in the works for many years. This is not just something they decide they're going to make to get into the card game genre and just throw it out there all of a sudden, which if they wanted to do that, they would have done it many years ago. But they're doing it now after working hard on the product, and something that you can tell the people are passionate about who are working on it. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to see where Legends of Runeterra goes. I think the game is going to be incredibly successful. It's really hard for it not to be with Riot behind the steering wheel. Just because a game has great monetization or IP doesn't mean the game is guaranteed to be successful, but wow, it really does help. It helps a lot. You have to really mess up really hard to ruin